Welcome aboard Free Dive with C-Point Digital, your go-to podcast for deep dives into the world of digital marketing. I'm Kristy.
And I'm Anna Lynn.
Your hosts navigating through the currents of growth, strategy, and innovation in the digital realm.
We're going to talk. We're going to laugh. It's going to be a good time.
Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Free Dive podcast. I'm Kristy, and once again we have as a special guest, Bill Cottrell. Welcome back, Bill Cottrell.
I'm starting to feel like I'm not really a guest. I'm just part of the podcast.
You are actually listed on the website page. You are listed as a host.
So we're just like, it's host day here.
Yeah, it is a little bit host day.
Yeah. Sometimes I find it's nice with the podcast, like we're just kind of talking shop.
Yeah.
Versus
Sneak away, be on the comfy chairs.
That's right.
And just have a little conversation.
Under the bright lights.
Under the bright lights.
Yeah.
Feel special.
I do feel special.
So tell everybody the things we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, like what should be our subject, and I think it's also a good point of time to ask our listeners if they have any things they want to hear us talk about.
Yeah, and we did get, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, last week, that we got a nice episode out of something that someone wrote in. So please keep writing in.
Yeah.
We really love that.
Because we need to know what to talk about.
That's right.
Yeah. But I was thinking about today, we were discussing a little bit earlier, a topic was talking about our mental health in the marketing field, and specifically one of the areas where I feel like a lot of people I know struggle with is imposter syndrome.
Yes, definitely.
So let's open this up to you, Kristy.
Okay.
Do you ever get imposter syndrome?
Yes, I feel like I have imposter syndrome almost every day, in some form or another. When something's not working and something breaks, or I don't know, I get very, compare my work to other work, and then I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'll never be as good as. It gets that kind of for me, so yeah, that's kind of where I go with it.
So where do you think the line is between, imposter syndrome and then also just, looking at other people's work and wanting to be, better or be the best at what we can be in the industry?
I think that's a good question, and I think that's a difference from where I used to be with it to where I kind of have pulled myself to where I am now. It used to be more of a depressive, I'll never be as good as that, and now I've tried to channel it into more of a, maybe I'm not as good as that, but I will get there, and how do I get there? Turning it into more of a question and curiosity, and what is it that they're doing that I can get there too? And so it's almost like a good thing for me sometimes, because I'm like, if I'm not up to a standard in my mind that I want to be, well, that's fine. How do I get to that standard knowing that I could reach it?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because I think there's really two types of imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. There's the nagging, I'm a fraud.
Yeah. And
people are going to find out that this is all a sham. Mm-hmm. And my life's work is, someone's going to stand up and be like, that's all fake. Mm-hmm. But then there's the other part where you're constantly looking at how other people are doing things. And I think that's a little less negative, because I think if you can learn and look at your kind of what your benchmarks are, or you see other people doing an amazing job in the same field, it's not as much that you're an imposter. It's just that admiration for the other work people have done.
Yeah, admiration is a good word for it.
Yeah, but I can totally relate to that feeling, though, of the imposter side, because, I remember the first time I spoke on a national conference. I'm up on the stage, and I'm just like, everybody here is going to know that I don't know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And, there was, this voice just squawking in my head the entire time I'm on stage. They're all going to know you don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because if you're up here, surely you've got to be some kind of big deal with tons of information. And
yeah. And then, afterwards, everyone was just like, oh, that was amazing. And I'm not saying that just to my own horn, I
that's what you've heard,
already.
Yeah.
But, the level of encouragement, I think we're always so negative about ourselves, especially when we're dealing with imposter syndrome, that we think other people encountering our work are just going to be as dismissive and critical as we are of
That's
ourselves.
True.
Yeah.
So how have you found that you pushed past it in moments that has happened for you?
I think for me with the imposter syndrome, it's been difficult to kind of compartmentalize, like understanding like why do I feel that way. It's harder, I find, as the agency's gotten bigger, because the imposter syndrome, where it might have popped up in the past, like doing a certain task or saying like, hey, I'm building this thing, or like a speaking assignment, right? I'm giving a talk somewhere, and I'm giving a lecture somewhere, where people are gonna be like, oh, I feel like people are gonna be like, oh, he just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But like now, I think the imposter syndrome is running a successful agency, of the thought of being like, it's going to fall apart at some point. Like I'm just one foot away from a misstep that's going to just sink this agency. And, I'm going to have all these people that are going to go hungry, and it's all going to be my fault. And like that weight, it's a different type of weight of imposter syndrome.
So how do you kind of get all of that anxiety like out? How do you get past that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just like really kind of sitting back, meditation on, what good we've done.
Yeah.
And, it's funny too, because I feel like I spend a lot of time now where I am as far as agency ownership, management. I'm tackling other people's imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to me because, like, I could talk to you, Kristy, and I could be like, you're not an imposter. Like, you're doing an amazing job. Like, look at this podcast. Like, you've put this podcast together, and you've sourced the equipment, you've sourced the how to, you're not just doing it off of a MacBook speaker. Mm-hmm. Like, you've set this up really professionally, and I'm highlighting these things like to you, or to Maddie with her work, or with Tim. Well, Tim doesn't have imposter syndrome.
Tim will never have imposter syndrome.
But like anyone else in the team, Courtney, like I think Courtney is another great example, because for those who don't know our office intimately, Courtney has been here the longest besides myself and knows the ins and outs of everything. And it's funny because like Courtney still struggles with that as well. So I think like all the cheerleading I do for other people with imposter syndrome helps me a little bit to be like, oh, I think everybody deals with imposter syndrome a little bit.
Yeah.
In fact, I would almost say, if you're in the creative field, if you're in marketing and you don't have a level of imposter syndrome, there might be something wrong.
Might be too much cockiness there. Like maybe you've got to evaluate.
Yeah, or just like a lack of self-awareness, because if you're just like, no, I'm the real deal. If you're like, I am the Slim Shady.
Yeah, so like you said, there is a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. Well, and I just think like looking at your experiences has to help, right? Because for you have to go, well, I've had this many years of successful business, surely I'm doing something right. You can't argue that. And also, if you are just starting out, you kind of have to cut yourself some slack and go, well, I am new to this, so obviously I'm not going to be the best one at it.
Right. And I think with that, too, is also understand that people in general are not looking to get you.
Right. People in general
are want to cheerlead.
No.
I mean, clients too. Like, I think if you're honest when you make mistakes, but you're honest, like, hey, I'm, if you're not always just trying to self-promote, and you're like, hey, I'm legitimately coming up with ideas, or, with team members, like, hey, I'm learning. Like, I think everyone tries to cheer everybody else on. And it's funny to me, even like you think like outside of your own agency, like, so here we're in Kittery, Maine, near Portsmouth, New Hampshire, big marketing hub. Like, you'd be surprised how Portsmouth, New Hampshire is a really big marketing city. It's close to a HubSpot campus, so it gets a lot of kind of support from HubSpot. Regionally here in New England, I feel like there's got a good saturation. And I always thought it was going to be much more of a spirit of like, almost kind of a snide attitude toward each other's work, or that competitive. And like everybody I've met, like in like other agencies, especially in that HubSpot ecosystem, it's very few people that I've walked away with being like, oh, that guy's a jerk. You know, most of everyone is just like, they're like excited about the projects you're working on. They like to cheer you on for your wins. You know, when we've won awards, like they're the first ones to, you know, shoot us a text, be like, oh, awesome. I saw you won this award. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and so I think knowing that even your
Competitors?
not competitors. I was going to say others. Colleagues. Your colleagues, that they are the ones that are also think you're a real asset to your field.
Yeah.
That helps a lot with like the imposter syndrome, because here's an outside person who's saying nice things and sees your growth in the industry, like you're growing.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because I try in the social media community, I try to engage with other people in similar fields as us, whether it's like other HubSpot people or other agencies or other video production accounts or other Matterport accounts or whatever, and I try to do the same thing, encourage them anytime I see them doing well, you know, that kind of thing, and they do the same for us back, and it does create that better sense of like, yeah, we're all doing well, like, and that helps.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that is, I think, a good judge too, like when you see other agencies or professionals in the field, like getting that sense that, you know, again, you're going to have some type of competition, but for the most part, you understand that there's a lot of work to go around. People want to help each other.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I do think that's kind of a kind of telling of, you know, the type of person. And it was funny because when I first started out and I was younger and, you know, in the agency, and I wanted to be the best, and it was almost like a very competitive, like I can do this job better, I can do this, I can get better results. And almost like that idea of like I'm competing, and it gets you a lot less. And I think those feelings, those like the imposter syndrome pops up more in those types of situations.
It feels worse.
It feels a lot worse. Yeah, when you're trying to be like cutthroat and, you know, feel like you've got to be better than the, you know, just acknowledge it, like they do good work.
Yeah.
And you do good work.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think that goes a long way from the imposter syndrome, because the more you're like super critical of others, then you're going to be critical of yourself as well.
Yeah. And what kind of reputation does that create?
And it's, you know, it's counterintuitive for business, right? Like I find, you know, the better relationships you have in the industry, it always comes back around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you think all of that relates to mental health in the workplace and in agencies? What have you seen?
I think that's a big part of it. So I will say, I think in our field, in marketing, again, marketing is all about conveying information and emotion, right? And so I think people are a little bit more in tune, or tend to be a little bit more honest, talking about their emotional health issues or mental health issues than maybe in other fields.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't talk to a lot of lumberjacks. I don't know if there's like a great lumberjack community of talking about your depression. Maybe there is. Maybe
there
like,
is. We just haven't found it.
And yeah,
They need help with their SEO, perhaps.
Perhaps. But you like think about marketing as a whole, like I feel like it's a very in tune with like emotional needs.
Well, psychology, really.
Right, the psychology of it. But I think that the people that work in the field tend to maybe be a lot more open about the struggles that they have, because they're just easier at communicating.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that's the skill, I guess what I was trying to say. Marketing is about communication. So marketing is about communication. And so the idea that a lot of times people that work in marketing are much better about communicating their feelings.
Yeah.
And with that sense of empathy, I think within the field, there is a lot of empathy. So I do see a lot more, like, especially like on social media, people talking in our industry about challenges that they have, which I think is positive.
Yeah.
You know, the more that you can talk about it, more, you know, you can tell other people that you're not all right, goes a long way to getting help when it's needed.
Yeah, and relatability and authenticity, and because it's just, yeah, it feels very real.
Yeah. And I do think, you know, every field's going to have its challenges with mental health. I I think, in marketing, we're very screen oriented.
Yes.
So we're spending a lot of time on screens. We tend to spend a lot of time on non-face-to-face communication because we're emailing. A lot of our communication is on Zoom, Slack, Teams, like all those formats versus like sitting down and having, coffee and a face-to-face conversation with somebody. So I think that also can have its challenges.
Yeah.
We're under deadlines
Yes.
a lot of times. And then it's just and we need to get results.
Yes.
It's not a field, it's not a passive field. You have to maintain results for your clients or you're not going to have them. So there's that side of the pressure that I think can bring out mental health issues.
In a lot of cases, many projects carry a high level of pressure, especially if you're managing a lot of money. That could really elevate someone's mental health, stress-wise or anxiety-wise or otherwise.
Yeah. I know doing PPC management.
Yeah.
Like when you're running, we manage millions of dollars.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And, a mistake happens with that.
Couldn't be me.
No.
Could not be me.
I back in my PPC management days, there was some times where, your stomach just falls out.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it.
What's the moment working that was like your most panicked? What was been your most panic moment of like something went wrong that you were just like
I don't know.
You just want to burn the entire place down.
I don't know if it's. I guess we'll just cut this out if I can't. If you don't want me to share it, is when I was on a Matterport and the camera fell over on the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like in these few moments of like, is it broken or not? And man, that thing is built well because
shout out to Matterport.
It was fine.
Yeah.
But in those moments, I was on a kind of a hilly sidewalk. It was super windy, and I set it down and I turned around and it had fallen, and I wasn't done with the job, and I was just like I felt so sick. I thought I was gonna throw up, and in waiting for the next test spin to see if it was gonna come out and work fine, I just thought I was gonna die, but. No, it's fine. That thing is like a brick.
I think one of mine early on in my career. So again, before C Point, I have to preface this as a before C Point. I was working for an agency and we were running ads for a luxury yacht company.
Oh yeah.
Like a really well-known, like national brand of yachts. Like probably like I'm not going to say who it is, but when you think of the word like blank yachts, it's probably the company you're thinking of. And I was running their Google ads and I misspelled the word yacht in the ads. And the CEO of the company is the one who found it. Yeah, you want to talk about your stomach just dropping out. And I remember going back to, at the time I was just so panicked and upset. And, my boss was just like, yeah, those things happen. But I like to remember that for my own humility because, when, someone, especially like PPC manager, like when Jared back in the day would make a mistake, and he was learning, I'd be like.
Shout out Jared.
Yeah, shout out Jared. I would be like, yeah, that's a bad mistake, but you know what? You didn't misspell the word yacht when you were advertising yachts to multi-million-dollar customers who wanted to buy a yacht, and you spelt it like yacht. So, yeah. And then, there's been other of those types of dread mistakes that you've made, but...
It's hard to get past, but you do get past them.
Yeah. I think it's funny now, the mistakes I made, they're more so like personnel mistakes. Yeah. Like I'm trying to cheerlead somebody and it has the opposite result. Yeah. Like I'm trying to be like, yeah, I did a great job cheering this person up or motivating them. And then like I come back the next day and they're just like, the world's ending because you didn't validate that correctly. And I'm like, no, that's not what, yeah.
Very different set of problems.
It's a very different set of problems.
Different.
I've learned to spell. I just haven't learned how to deal with people's feelings yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. Right?
That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
No, but I think also just that, like, that empathy for the mental health stuff, because so many people do struggle with stuff today.
And so what do you think are like some practical tips that you've learned or you've seen for your staff or otherwise that you think have been practical and helpful for, especially working in the marketing field, but in business in general, managing your mental health and your workload?
So I think you said something right there. It's like managing the mental health and workload. So once you get to that point, your workload exceeds what you can do. Like, I think that having that modesty, that's been, as far as an agency side, like having balance of like taking on clients, not just taking on work for the sake of taking on work.
Yeah.
I think also, where it's good to challenge yourself in new tasks, but being honest, like, hey, is this a project we can handle? If it's a case of bringing on other, vendors to help, is it going to cause more stress than it is to like actually just say, hey, there's probably somebody else who can do this job for you?
Yeah.
I do think, I think also surrounding yourself with other people that are empathetic to mental health issues.
Yes.
Is a big thing. So, I think a number of people here at Sea Point struggle with something. Mm-hmm. Mine's PTSD, mm-hmm. with some depression sprinkled in, just for a little, a little flavor,
just a little bit of flavor,
a little depression on top of your PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Just makes it extra creamy.
Yeah.
But like understanding like other people that are going through things in the office. And I think the fact that I do talk about like, hey, yeah, I got some things that I'm working on. I try to be very open with the rest of the staff to be like, hey, do you notice anything? Or like I really try to like bounce things off. Like, am I reacting to this way because maybe there's like some type of trigger that I don't fully understand? Mm-hmm. And am I reacting like to this situation? Like if a client's upset, like my response to it, like checking myself that way.
Yeah.
Or, dealing with coworkers, like, why is my response this way?
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. But as far as like knowing everybody else, we're all going through stuff, I think it just makes it a lot more empathetic to be like, we have to pick up each other's, we have to lift each other up. That's really what it comes down to. And you're in an agency, again, that goes back to like the type of environment and what you build. As far as like everyone's always talk about like what their company culture is, right? And it's like, great, our company culture gets us a gym membership.
Right.
But having an actual company culture, especially with like that openness to dealing with mental health, to allow people to, be okay with not being okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there with talking about communication and how important that is because I have PTSD too, and we have both been able to be so understanding because we both understand how that feels and how just brief synopsis of what PTSD feels like. It just sneaks up on you randomly and triggers are weird, but to be able to express to anyone else on the team, like, I'm just going through it right now and it's like, I might be this, I might be that. It's not personal. And being able to communicate that so that if I'm being snappy, like what was it that you said the other week, we're like, we need a code word in case Bill's being, I forget what the code word was, but it's like, we're able to make some, a joke out of it a little bit, but at the same time, we're all able to just be like really open about like, we're not going to be, we're not going to be hurtful to each other in the process, but we all know what's going on here.
Right.
So, and being able to support each other through that.
We used to joke around that we had this giant wheel in the office, like the Wheel of Fortune, and we spin the wheel, and it was like whose
turn it is.
Yeah, to be emotional dumpster fire. Yeah.
And again, I think you hired Tim because he'll never be on the wheel.
You never know.
He has to be the stable one.
He's the stable one. It is funny, like I think we've reached that point where we're all dealing with something in a way. And when you meet somebody or you know somebody who's just like rock solid emotionally, and you're just like, okay, no, you're the weirdo.
Yeah, he's a bit the unicorn.
Yeah, like, what's that like? Not walking through life with emotional pain or imposter syndrome. Like,
fear always.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is, though.
Yeah. But no, it was, I think this week's episode, one of the episodes, Tina Gimmon was talking about just in marketing how there's just a high level of burnout and how that can just start to get to you because there's just always one project's done and then there's another one and how that can just lead to a high level of burnout. And so kind of keeping tabs on your mental health is so important because of that, because it's just never ending.
Yeah.
Inbox is never ending. What there's to do is never ending, and problems mentally and at home and personal life are also never ending. And so checking in with yourself and making sure that you're taking care of yourself physically and emotionally at the same time is very important.
And I think that's the importance as well of disconnecting from everything from time to time. Like really like setting aside time to like just put it away.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for myself it's hard as an agency owner because it's like it's 24/7. You know,
for you, it's really never ending.
Yeah, I'm trying to like have that boundary of work life and balance has always been a difficult one for me. And it's funny because like when I do shut myself off from it, like I'm heading out of town, we're recording this, and I'm heading out of town in a couple days. Spend some much needed time in Canada. You know, I always find like when I come back from those types of trips that I'm just like, I have a lot more clarity for work. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this is how we're going to run a project, and this is what we're going to do. And, you know, like I know the value of it. It's just like carving that time out to do it.
Yeah. So that's true of everybody.
Yeah.
You got to get a little bit of a break and breather.
Yeah. So I think if you're listening to this, like, I think the takeaway from this is you really got to take care of the mental health. You know, if you want to be, you know, don't run from it. You know, I think that so many of us were just running, and you know, it's going to eventually catch up with you in your work. It's going to catch up with you, you know, and work stress is going to catch up in your personal life.
Always.
So, you know, face it head on. You know, take care of yourself. Imposter syndrome, you know, work on it. Everyone else is faking it. Like, especially if you're in marketing, that's the entire point of marketing, is to make something look better than it actually is.
That's what it
So
is.
when you look across the room or you look across to the other websites, the other agencies, and you're like, oh man, they are just killing it and I don't know what I'm doing. Like we're all faking it.
That's very true.
Yeah. So keep faking it, people.
We are.
We
Come
are.
along with us.
Yeah, that should be my sales pitch. Hire us.
Bunch of
We're
fakers.
faking it.
Bunch of fakers. No, I think being honest about it is the way that we're not.
Because the thing is, if you know or you have that understanding that you could be faking it, which you know you're not, you're really, you know, you're doing your best you can.
Yeah.
But again, that beats the person who just is like, nope, I know what I'm doing. Everything I do is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to get some feedback on this episode almost above all others, because I would love to hear what people.
Yeah, I want to hear.
This is relatable.
Yeah, I want to hear your experiences with imposter syndrome / what you struggle with or how you get through dealing with your mental health problems in this.
So if you're listening on Spotify, there's a question box where you can drop in. You can drop into our Instagram DMs, YouTube comments. There's so many ways that you can message us. So please message us.
Just slide into our DMs.
Slide on in.
It'll be
That's
cool.
what they're there for.
Yes.
People are. And if you have more episode ideas.
Yeah, I need more things to
to
talk about. So come on, people. Give me some more ideas.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're just going to talk about what we want.
Yeah. And that might turn into talking about hockey.
That might get scary.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here once again. This was nice.
Good times.
And we'll see you again next time.
Next time.
It's the end.
No, it's not. There's more.
There's always more.
Don't be sad. You can catch our full video interviews on our YouTube channel. Come find us.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends so that we're not sad.
And follow us on TikTok.
And Instagram.
It'll make your day happier, promise.
And we'll know if you do. Until next time.